All right. All right. So as I was saying, this computer has some functionalities of networking, and then it has some default input and output capability. I'll be using this computer just to demonstrate some of the high-level concepts we'll be talking as we move forward. If you meet this point, or if you have a doubt, anything I talk, maybe I'm too fast, just somebody should talk and I will slow down. I will use this computer in isolation for now because this computer is the major thing in our journey for this session. Is a major component. We have types of computer. We will not deep dive on that. We can type that one on Google. But we should not forget our smartphones are computers. Our IoTs. IoTs, for some people that don't know, IoTs are some of the recent Internet of Things that we have at home, like smart bulb, smart fridge, smart TV. They are IoTs. They are all computers. Server is a computer. Workstation is a computer. Firewall is a computer. Switch, router and switch. They are all computers. So why I listed all this is when everything this PC has, they all have it. They have one common denominator. What is the common denominator they have? Is they all have what they call motherboard. This motherboard is the major component that all other inputs or all other accessories attached to or attached with. But most important aspect we need to know, we need to pay more attention to from the network and security perspective is what? Is the NIC. It's called NIC. This NIC is called Network Interface Card. Network Interface Card. This is the card that's a number is engraved on from the manufacturer. A number is engraved on it. That number, it is like a VIN number of a vehicle. If I carry myself now and I go to like Best Buy, I buy a computer. Immediately I'm paying, or immediately I've selected a particular brand and I paid. All the input is registered in the computer, in their system, and then this system is given to me and I left. If, for example, I gave that, or I give that system to somebody somewhere, and then the person eventually maliciously use that device, the system can be traced back to me. Because of what? Because of the NIC. Because the NIC comprises of numbers. Some hexadecimal numbers. Those numbers has manufacturer index. For example, now, some of us that have Toyota car, every Toyota car, they have like 14 digit VIN number. The first out of the 14, maybe the first 8, it will be saying once you put that first in a specialized computer, once you put that first 4 or first 8 in a computer, it will identify the vendor. Okay, let's flip it this way. Anytime we go to online, we want to buy something maybe from Amazon or from any other vendor online. Once we put like 4 digits of our card, it will identify it as either a MasterCard, Visa card, or American Express. So every vendor has attached number to identify them online. The same thing comes with the computer. So in the computer part, they will put the manufacturer index, they will put the registration number of the computer, and then they will attach a MAC address. The MAC address, it is a physical address of every computer. This one cannot be deleted. However, it can be replaced the same way a VIN number of a car can be replaced, but that is malicious. Except the motherboard is damaged and I replace my motherboard. That's a different ballgame. But when we talk about a brand new computer that comes from a factory, it will have an attached NIC. So why I'm emphasizing on this is this NIC is not particular to only physical device. When we move from this conversation and we'll move to the cloud, we will talk about this NIC again. So apart from the NIC, we have some other ports like USB ports, and then some has come with HDMI, HDMI also. So all these ports, they don't have any functionality apart from to create a network. Because anytime I put an HDMI cable from my PC to another monitor, I create a network. So if somebody asks now, what is a network? Or what is the purpose of, what's the network, or what is the purpose of network? So the network or networking basically is to move a data from one point to another point. But if you look at this, my diagram now, we have only one computer. This computer cannot communicate on isolation. That is where this NIC will come in. Every computer, like I said, they have a motherboard that attach a NIC. So this NIC, this is where we connect a cable. This cable, we have different type of cable too. We'll discuss about that as we move on. Let me clear some of these. All right, I've cleared all. Okay, I want to make this thing bigger. No problem. We'll move on. So networking, from computer perspective, This is moving data from one computer to another. This is networking. This is also importance of networking. Because we are not doing networking for networking's sake. It's to share, it's to collaborate. As we are speaking now, we are networking because you can hear me, and then I'm speaking remotely from my home, and then you can hear me. There are some underlying connectivity that we later discuss as we move on that facilitates your hearing me. So that is why networking is the backbone of every conversation online. Anytime you connect to an application from a user perspective, somebody has done a wonderful job by making sure that you have access to Shaw's application. For example, we are on WhatsApp. We registered the WhatsApp, we put some formats and some other stuff. This application has some form of networking that's been done behind the scene. We have not touched based on security yet. We're talking about networking. So now, what will come to mind now is, oh, wait a minute. Are you talking about my home networking? The answer is no. We are not talking about home networking. We are talking about enterprise network. Enterprise network. An enterprise network, and how what is made up of, and then how it's being connected, and then what are the necessary devices that should be on the platform, both in terms of networking and security, that will make the data safe. And anytime we talk about safe, let me just touch base quickly on that. We'll be talking about CIA. That is why initially when we started, I said every concept or every domain in IT, they interwoven. No one is isolated. If you tell me now that, oh, I am AI specialist, you must have a basic understanding of network. If you don't, that means you are just being fortunate to find yourself in AI. Oh, I'm a programmer. A lot of programmers, they have basic of networking, because when you are programming, you are doing maybe you are using container, you are doing some stuff. When it's time to do some connectivity, you may need to enable some firewall, you may need to enable some application that will need like NIC or assign an IP address to a device. So there's a level networking there. So we talk about networking. What will take much of our time is networking. And then what a lot of people take for granted is networking. And then most of the time, when we go to interview, 70% of the questions come from where? Networking. Any questions so far before we move on? If there's no question, let's roll. I believe some of us have fundamentals of what I'm explaining, but for the benefit of some people who are not. We are using computers, but from the user perspective. So when it comes to management, it's a different ballgame. So what we are planning, or we are building ourselves to be able to handle, is how to manage everything they call computers. When I mention everything on the network, I've given us some examples of network before. So now those devices, they come from factory default. When I mean default, is like somebody buys a brand new car, for example, that brand new car comes default. You can put the key on in the ignition and start the car, fine. But there are some other settings that ordinary users may not be able to handle. For example, a brand new car may need to have a programming or monitoring device attached to it. A regular user may not have idea how to do that. It may need some extra layer of security. It may need some maybe changing of certain things, zero mileage, you need to do, there are some functionalities that need to be modified or tweaked from default. The same way, most of the computers, they come from default. From factory is in default setting. So why we are here is for us to be able to manage those devices to enhance their capacity, apart from, because there are some additional features that are not turned on by default. So we will be able to handle that. And then there are some advanced features that ordinary users will not be able to handle. So we will be the one that will be able to take care of that based on need. Because for certain reason, no one can say, oh, since we have been using my home network, I've called 2 or 3 technicians to come and fix. No, that's why I said we are not talking about home network. Our focus will be basically on enterprise. And the enterprise comes in, they have different layers of networking. They have some devices that will be in our own inventory. There are some, as we move on, there are some applications that I will just explain to us how to use it, and then we should keep it in our own safe place, just for the purpose of interview, because we have plethora of applications that we use to assist our job, not only what we teach on this session. Because, for example, now, somebody is versatile, he knows how to do firewall, he can do routing, but in interview, they now ask a very simple question. What are the tools you use in your day-to-day jobs? There are some tools that we use to carry out our daily task. So we'll touch base on that. But currently, what I've been able to say so far is I've said that networking is a moving of data from one computer to another computer. There's nothing more than that. But there are some other things that we need to know, like components of networking, that we eventually deep dive on, and then we will be able to configure. Like in networking, some of the components are, number one is switch. We have router. We have firewall. We have wireless Wi-Fi. We have server. We have some other like workstation. All these, they will be interwoven as we move on. They are not on isolation, because switch on its own cannot stand alone. They are related, but I will be touching base on each of them one by one, and some of the protocols they need to carry out their job. And then in network of enterprise, on enterprise network, one of the other things we need to touch base quickly is how the environment is set up, and there's some of the advanced concepts they always mentioned, like the blueprints or the architectural design of the environment. If you check online and then we check job title, they need somebody who has knowledge of how to design a network. It's a different, as we move on, I will explain how we can do that, and then we can develop our skill set on that. Because once we have that mindset, or we have the view of how a network should interact or should be connected, we now have the holistic view of what I've been trying to paint since morning. So I don't want to over bombard us with a lot of concepts. It will not help us in any way. What will help us is we focus our attention on needed concepts, needed tools, and then we know how to manage them, how to configure them. The last time we met, I sent some link for one guy video for CCNA. The guy is very good, fine. But that train is tailored specifically for a particular exam. This particular exam, which is CCNA. We will know to spend our time on all that, in many of them. I will touch base on some of the concepts. I know that, if I've attended I can say more than 20 interviews. So based on that, many questions asked, I know the areas they always ask questions from. Those are the areas we need to dive on, and then we need to touch base. We will not spend time, we will not waste our time. I just use today to paint or to water base our mindset, and then to paint the picture of where we are eventually going to. So this is 837. Let me quickly show one diagram. Okay. I designed this diagram last night. Okay, can we see this diagram? Hello?
Yes, we can see it.
All right, so this is an example of an enterprise network. This is what? An example of an enterprise network. It's different from our home network. We shouldn't join them together. Our home network, if you look at your network at home now, you have a modem from one ISP, and then zoom, 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 zoom. This is Wi-Fi to your home. If you look at it, this component comes with, is embedded with different functionality, but most of the users, they only use it for Wi-Fi. They can log into this device, reset it for protection, enable some firewalling, and then they can do some IP forwarding on it, but it's default. We can get high speed Wi-Fi, we are okay. But in enterprise, we don't use most of the devices on default. I can guess many people, immediately they give them this device attached to their homes. They don't change the password. It has a default password. Those are the breaking link to malicious actors. So we'll touch base about how to protect network and all that. But I'm just trying to make our mind to stay away from looking the networking from home network. It's a different ball game, because we'll be talking about different vendors, different appliances that we use in enterprise network. So moving forward, if you look at this component, this is a firewall. This is the area we are going to specialize. This is our domain. But the but now is this: the trajectory has moved from being specialized only on firewall to the cloud computing. It has moved to cloud computing. Back in the days, or some years ago, once somebody knows about a little bit of this component, like I know what is router, I can define router, I can define a switch, the person is likely to get the job. But now the trajectory has moved to different domain, which is cloud computing. I will explain about cloud computing, and I will explain an on-prem network. But first of all, now we'll be focusing our attention on on-prem. On-prem, as a sound, this country or this industry, they love to use some words that specialize it. There are a lot of jargons that we'll be talking about as we move on. But anytime we hear about on-prem, it is on-premises. On-premises. On-premises means it's like something is an analogous of what you have at your home now. It is not outside. It's in your home. It's sitting down in your home. That is, I have it on premises. When you have a teacher, oh, I'm going to school premises. If you have a chalkboard, blackboard, anything on that property is on-prem. So everything we'll be talking, it's something in the organizational data center or building or co-location. All those small concepts, I will explain them as we move on. But what I want us to pay attention, maybe I will be using this diagram till the end of this course. Why I say so is this: every time we finish one part, we'll create a checklist. Once we finish it, we mark it. Because now, if we look at this board very well, we see that these devices, that I've mentioned some of them before, they are interconnected. No one is standing alone. Every device on this is interconnected. And then this is topology. It can be called topology, a blueprint, or an architectural design, network architectural design. The network architectural design, it is the blueprint of network of an enterprise. Because if we want to build a house, we need to have a blueprint. The blueprint, what it does is, if a plumber has connected everything, for example, and he walks away, if there's no blueprint, if there's a problem along the line in the future, it will be difficult to trace it where to repair. But if there's a blueprint, a very clearly well-defined blueprint, you'll be able to trace where the fault is or where the job should continue from. For example, now, if you look at here now, if this is what I'm working on, for example, And then somebody called me my phone, maybe I mean, as a security engineer, I work for the company. And then they said, this user here is unable to connect or to go to internet. I should be able to troubleshoot this from networking perspective to make sure that this user have a seamless user experience with help of this topology or diagram or architectural design. I should be able to do that. So we will start from some basic concepts of networking from the TCP, IP, OSI model, some of the types of the, I've mentioned it, some type of the devices, but tomorrow, hopefully I'll see, reemphasize on them, and then I'll define some of those, like we may start from OSI model. Because some of the devices, they have an hierarchy, the operator from. And then from, in the IT industry, we have a reference guide, like other professionals. That reference guide is the one that we always refer to. And then it's part of the conversation. Every time some IT conversation is taking place, we make use of that reference guide. That is, oh, is it layer 2? Is it layer 3 issue? Is it a firewall? Is it layer 7 issue? And so on and so forth. Or is it layer 1 issue? Because we have some tickets. So quickly, anytime we hear of tickets in IT related job, it is the issue ticket. That means somebody make a call that they are unable to do certain things. There will be a ticket open for that. When the ticket is opened, somebody should be assigned the ticket to carry out or to resolve the issue. Now we have 3 or 4 levels of tickets. We have P1, P2, P3, and P4. So if you look at this now, it's a linear equation. It is linear progression. Somebody who's very good in IT networking can walk from P1 to P3 ticket. Somebody who has spent some years in IT can walk from P1, can do ticket of P1 and P4. Excuse me. But most of the time, entry level, they always give them P1 ticket. And then if the level cannot treat it, they escalate it to P2. If this level cannot treat it, they escalate it. They will continue to escalate it until somebody like Okogan can handle it. So, and if this guy cannot handle it, it's going to call a tag. All this, we'll talk about them as we move on. So like I said, what I will be saying is it may not be new to many people, but I will embed it. I will be passing across some of my own experience. And then we have a lab that we're going to use to make things easy for us, because it will not be theory. If it's theory, it will just be like a rote learning. So it will be hands-on based. It will be a lot of what's it called? A lot of labbing. And then if we start doing labbing, somebody should not mistake the lab to the real environment. It's like if I buy my son a toy car, and I say, Dad, is it a real car? Can I go to highway? He can't go to highway. So the labbing is a simulation environment. So we'll be using environment to simulate what is happening in the industry. If you can do well in that lab, quote me, you can do well anywhere. Because most of the vendors we are enjoying today, some of the services we are enjoying today, somebody has done it in the lab, and it presents the same concept to the stakeholders. They bought the idea, and then they come to the limelight. So this is 8:50. I would love to stop right here. Let me give room for question and answer, and then we call it a day after that. Hello?
Hello.
Hello? So any question so far so good? Or any doubts? Or any area somebody suggest that we should put more effort on, or any area that's not very clear, I should re-emphasize on that. So the area I started today, that's the area I thought we should have a basic understanding of. So tomorrow, when I'm talking about other things, I'll talk about the CPU, RAM, and the storage. And then eventually, somebody should remind me, maybe we should talk about that one later, but about virtualization. Because virtualization is another concept on its own, but I will touch based on a very basic level so that we have the idea of virtualization. Once we can understand the virtualization, when we move to the cloud computing, it will not be a problem. All right. So, any question? And then the last time I recommended that we should have some set of laptops that can withstand or that can be used for the lab. I've sent the recommendation to our group chats. So we should try to get something good. And then this journey is not like any other journey. It's a career. So whoever want to make it career is only the person that will move forward. But whoever want to make it like I just a pass on my own, it's a waste of time, because there will be a lot of investment from our sides, investment of time and energy, investment of money. Money comes in where we need to buy some books. If you don't like me, I don't like, most of the time I don't like reading online. I love to read. I'd copy sometimes because of distraction. You'll be reading something online, something will pop up. Hey, so sometimes I stay away from online sometimes. So we need to invest time and money, and then there are some other courses to be a supplement. If you watch all the videos online, read all the materials online, if you go to interview, the person will mess up. Because those resources online, they are there, they are just, many of them are basic stuff. Majority of them are basics. So we will be connecting the dots, but we must be ready on our own side to invest time and energy, and then some resources. When we hear that this is good, we should go for it. And then the rest will be story. And then I will encourage us to open a LinkedIn account, start connecting with people in the industry, and then we can start reading about it. It's fun in the LinkedIn. Some people post some networking questions, networking resources, and all that. So we can't do it on isolation now. I'll say we just read everything. No, it's not possible. So we need to collaborate, and then we need to make use of other resources. There's no way one source. So one source is not enough for this track. We need to utilize so many avenues as a supplement, and then the rest will be story. So, I say any question? No question, right?
No question for now.
Yeah,
What time tomorrow?
The same time, by God's grace.
Thank you.
After the recording is processed, I will send it across.